Day when the weather outside was frightful, indoors here at the Dome, Adrian Peterson and Harrison Smith saved the day and the Vikings season for now with a win over the Bears. Bundle up. The show starts now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Rosen Sports Sunday on this winter wonderland night here in the Twin Cities. Well, we have seen it time and time again. The Minnesota Vikings are a completely different team at home than they are on the road, and such was the case again this afternoon when they unleashed Adrian Peterson and actually beat the Bears at what they do best, converting turnovers into points. You could sense the restlessness in the Metrodome. The Vikings were nursing that 14-7 second-half lead. And I think most of them were anticipating the worst, but it all changed this time in Minnesota's favor. Jay Cutler has that gunslinger's arrogance. He feels he can make any throw, anytime, but it backfired here. And as impressive as rookie Harrison Smith's interception was, it was his return which was better. Maybe it's the luck of the Irish for this alma mater Notre Dame going to the national title game, but Smith made the play of the game. Cutler and the Bears never recovered, and the Vikings are still alive with a 7-6 record.
Really, the thing that stands out to me is just that everybody's good. There's no slouches out here. Everybody can make plays, and games are never over. No matter how much you're up by, everybody can come back. So it's really just knowing that every week is going to be a big challenge.
Vikings radio analyst on KFAN, former Viking player and assistant coach Pete Bursich has always joined us in studio again today. Appreciate you plowing your way out of your driveway. How was the drive in?
Not bad.
Was it okay?
It's all right.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah. We saw the basic fundamentals of the game of football win it today, Pete, that you love. A lot of Adrian Peterson, opportunistic defense, stellar punting from Chris Kluwe, and I think the overall message to Christian Ponder in so many words, don't screw this up. I mean, I think Leslie didn't say that, but that's the interpretation I got.
I mean, people cringe when they hear the phrase "manage the game," you know. But again, I take a step back and think about Adrian Peterson, and I know growing up as a kid, I got to watch Walter Payton play, and I could see my kids watch Adrian Peterson, and I feel safe making that comparison between the two because, like you said on the news a few minutes ago, everyone knows where the ball's going, everybody knows who's getting it, but yet teams still can't stop them, and I think that just speaks volumes for what that young man's doing.
It gets stronger and stronger, and he wants more. He wants the record. He wants every record on the book. I guess we can play the what-if game all week. Last week in Green Bay, Ponder's turnovers did kill them, and that's something that could haunt this football team if they don't make the playoffs.
You're right, and we've kind of said this all year with the small ball style of offense. We run the ball well. Defensively, we kind of bend but don't break. We can't put points up defensively, but we're not good enough to overcome 2-3 turnovers in a football game. And when we're on the plus side, we see exactly what happens. And you know, we did give up a touchdown late, but when you can put points on the board defensively, you win 90% of the time in the NFL, and so that's a huge advantage. But we're not the kind of team that comes from behind. We play better with the lead, and I think we saw that because we played about 3.5 quarters of football with the lead.
That's true. Really worked out quite well. You can also play the what-if game if the Vikings actually had a vertical passing game. Imagine how unstoppable this offense would be. The season-ending injury to Percy Harvin has left them with just really one guy on offense, Adrian Peterson. Stop me if you can, and Pete, no one can these days. Here we go, the first play again. Peterson for 51 yards, a lot more kicking to the outside than earlier in the year when he was running the football right now.
You're right, and you know, it was what you had to feel that AP was on pace for a 300-yard kind of a game, and the Bears kind of figured it out late. But just a huge effort play, you know, down the field by Charles Peanut Tillman.
Just keep giving it to him here.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you do. And the Bears did not start this game the way they wanted to. They were really on their heels. You know, the replacement Urlacher being out, it was a rough day for them early.
You don't expect this from Jay Cutler right away either, or from the Vikings.
No, you don't. And what was nice is that they gave it the cover 2 shell. They played a lot more 3 deep than they did the first time, and you know, great interception here, and unfortunately stepping out of bounds at about the 5-yard line.
Yeah, 5 or 6 yard line. Just just by the
it's a game of inches.
Slightest of the margins there, but no problem. 3rd and goal for the one. If you have Adrian Peterson on your fantasy team, you're happy. He gets the ball again. His second touchdown, 6 minutes into the game, and it's 14-0.
Yeah, I think Chris Conti for Christmas would like to see Adrian Peterson traded out of the division. I think
you're right.
The two of them had a long day.
The Bears offense was stuck here. Antoine Antoine Winfield. We've done this a few times.
Great play by Antoine. A nice job disguising up front. You see Jared Allen's free off the edge. The one guy you think the offense would want to watch out for. But tackling later in the game became a little problematic.
I'm not sure what Ponder was thinking here when he was getting sacked. Fortunately, he was ruled down, throwing the ball away. That really could have been dangerous.
You're right, and I think everybody in the stadium that saw this knew what he was trying to do and didn't like it. But, the Vikings got a break. I'd rather be lucky than good.
Second quarter, Cutler taking a beating. Eventually led him to going out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Everson Griffin coming back from last week with the big, had a couple big penalties, but played well today. He played gunner on punt team. Everson Griffin showing up.
This is what you want to see, even if it doesn't work. Throwing deep, stepping into the throw.
You're right, and there were a couple of these today, and this one was about 1.5 feet from being completed. Devin Romashadu getting behind the defense, and we had a couple of those opportunities, and we need to make those things happen.
The Cutler started getting into a rhythm. Alshon Jeffrey, the rookie outstanding player, touchdown.
Yeah, another big wide receiver between him and Brandon Marshall. They have 2 6'2" guys, about 230 pounds. Nice receiving core. They missed him throughout the year because he was hurt, but Alshon Jeffrey played well.
So it's 14-7. I'm thinking at some point in the second half, Pete, Ponder's going to have to make a play or two to get separation in this game, and it really never had to happen. He had a couple third down pass completions, but the flow of the game was really dictated by the defense in the second half.
Yeah, no question about it. And you talk about Ponder. I think it's safe to say when you step back, you say better, but not enough. If this team needs to go 3-0, run the table to have a shot at the playoffs, you're still going to need to see more out of him. But just the passer rating, the lack of productivity, passing, you're waiting and we're waiting. We're just not seeing that improvement right now. And I think for Leslie Frazier and Bill Musgrave, they're doing everything they feel comfortable with, because those guys understand they're not in this business to develop quarterbacks. They're in this business to win football games. That's how they keep their jobs, and they're calling plays and putting an offense together that gives them the best chance of winning. And by the way, that's handing the ball off to 28.
Yeah, we'll get more into the Twitter questions about Adrian Peterson and Christian Ponder as well. Jay Cutler has that swagger. He has that smart alecky look on his face. You'd like to smack him around, but the guy never backs down. He was forced one too many times, and the Bears know that nothing turns a game around quicker than a defensive touchdown. It happened here late in the third quarter. They got pressure up the middle. Cutler AMR'd this right in the arm of Harrison Smith.
You're right.
Notre Dame guy took over.
Exactly. All day long, the Vikings defense did a better job of keeping him in the pocket, and Harrison Smith it's better than an interception. I mean, look at the productivity that we're getting out of our safeties this year. Jamarcus Sanford had a chance to dagger this team later, but our safeties are playing at a much better level, much higher level. And not only are they getting the interceptions, as you said, Mark, they're turning it into offense, and offensive lineman head on a swivel.
Good call here to Matt Forte. 36 yards, tack on another 15. Late hit they called on Jared Allen.
Right, Jared Allen just getting a little hit out of bounds there. I mean, he ran about 60 yards. He felt like he wanted to get a hit in and take some guys out on the sidelines.
They did force the punt, though. Ponder did have a couple big 3rd and 7. You want to call them that. High throw, great catch by Jenkins.
Right, these are the kinds of throws that you expect an NFL quarterback to be able to make. When you're getting those kinds of passes, you want to be those double slants were there, and they moved the chains a couple times.
Man, a lot happened on this play. Cutler got hit. There was 2 penalties called, late hit, and that's where I think Cutler hurt his neck.
Yeah, he got hit in the face again. Everson Griffin, I mean, I don't know what else Everson Griffin can do, because it was not a bad play. He was already on his way down.
Yeah,
if he gets fined for this,
it's ridiculous.
Then the league is fining by result, not by what actually happened.
Well, Cutler stayed in for a while. Brandon Marshall is just a beast.
I have not seen, the quarterback and the wide receiver, Marshall and Cutler, have a rapport that is rarely seen. I mean, Cutler has so much confidence in him. They make it like backyard football.
I think Devin Hester said, what's the commercial go? Do you want to get away?
Right.
Oops.
Yeah, just those are the types of plays, and it upset him. And you see, he had a couple of catches. I think he came off the field, though, a little bit injured later.
Yeah, late in the fourth quarter, Jason Campbell replacing Cutler. He made it look easy. Touchdown pass to Brandon Marshall.
Right, and then, is it the quarterback or is it Marshall? But the all-out blitz there by the Vikings defense, they got aggressive late.
The only catch tight end Kyle Rudolph made all game long was on this onside kick. The offense was limited enough as it is. Even Leslie Frazier couldn't believe they won without Rudolph making a catch today.
That's right, and he was targeted twice, no receptions. But for the Bears, they started the game out without their field goal kicker, who twisted his knee or sprained his calf in warm-up. So they didn't have any chance of making field goals throughout the day. It changed their play calling just a little bit.
21-14, the final after the game. Adrian Peterson was one of the players talking about the magnitude of this win.
In a way, I guess you can say that, because, it's a vision game, especially how the last game went, with the expectations that we have as a team to make it into the playoffs. We knew this game was important, so to come out, against a good
Chicago team and get a win. It was huge for us.
We still need to be focused on one game at a time. I think they'll look at the standings tomorrow and see that we're still right in the thick of it, just like we were when this week began. But for us, you know, every game following will be like a playoff game. We need to win this next football game for obvious reasons. It's the next game on our schedule, but we really need to stay focused on one game at a time.
We started fast in offense. That's something we want to always do when we're out there, start fast. And obviously our objective is to score on every drive, and we kind of slowed down second and third quarter, but obviously didn't score in the fourth quarter, but converted on some key third downs, keep the ball in our hands and keep the clock running.
Well, every game is going to be a playoff game for this Vikings team right now. At St. Louis,
Right.
on the road. I don't care where they're playing. They have to play at a much higher level with consistency from that guy, Christian Ponder, in order to win that game next week.
You're absolutely right. But Leslie Frazier is speaking the truth when he says this team still has the opportunity to make it into the playoffs as a wild card. And so, as a head coach, that's what you have to concentrate on. That's what you have to motivate your players with. And again, that's where that veteran leadership comes in. Some of these guys can't be just happy with playing. They got to be happy with making an impact. And we'll see if some of these veteran guys can turn this thing and keep it going. And you never know, man.
Well,
wild card berth, who knows?
Yeah, a chance that no one expected that they have, and yet at the same time it's frustrating because it looks like we could have had more wins. Well, Pete will be answering your Twitter questions when we come back on Sports Sunday. Plus, Mike Mack shows us how that Viking defense delivered that solid performance on a day they definitely needed with a pair of rookies coming up big. Stay with us here on Rosen Sports Sunday. And welcome back to Sports Sunday. Well, if you win with defense, then that's why the Vikings won today. Big plays and, more importantly, consistent play. Mike Mack says more from the sidelines at Mall of America Field.
On a day of desperation, the defense did its thing. There was Josh Robinson with an almost pick six, one he thought he would get.
Oh yeah, as soon as I turn around, I see all of my guys, blocking, seeing guys getting knocked down, so I knew, I had a shot.
But more importantly, there was a steady influence in the first half at the line of scrimmage, where they took Chicago's game plan away by doing what they could not do in Game 1 against the Bears.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what you need, especially with a team like Chicago. You want to get a little bit of a lead on them so you can get after them in the passing game, because if they're in the thick of things, they're able to run the ball. Their play looks still open.
If there was a game-changing play, it came in the second half, and it came from the defense. So rookie safety, who's making a habit out of the big play, Harrison Smith, put this one away. Harrison Smith knew one thing when he made the interception, that it would end in the end zone. Tell us about what happened.
The ball was just a little overthrown, so I got a chance to, make a play on the ball. And once I got it, just started running, and a bunch of guys got some blocks for me. AJ said he had a key block on the play, so shout out to those guys.
When did you know it was six?
Right when I touched it. I mean, as a DB, you always think you're going to score when you get the ball.
The defense was in the midst of delivering what it had thought all week it had to. Aggressive and confident and filled with a sense of responsibility.
Yeah, defense, we took it upon ourselves. Just go out there and play our football, play Viking ball, and to stick together and play as one. That was Coach Frazier's message this whole week. Just play as one, stay together, and have faith. And that's what we did, and we came out with the victory.
Back with Pete Bursich. Jared Allen's been playing hurt as well. Looks like he may need some off-season surgery, but he's playing through the pain, as they say.
Yeah, and I think he's his numbers have kind of shown that. I think Everson Griffin's helped step up. But again, I go back to, as a unit, I think they played very, very well today. The first 2 weeks ago when we first played the Bears, we saw Cutler get out on the edge, plant his feet, and deliver strikes down the field. And today we didn't see Cutler, even though they ran kind of the same bootlegs and those kinds of plays. Cutler was staying in the pocket, having to step up. Somebody who was in his face, Everson Griffin, a nice stun up front. So overall, as a group, I think they played pretty well. Jared's a tough guy. He'll be all right, I think.
I think he'll be fine. He's not going to quit right now. Let's get to a few of our Twitter questions sent to me here at WCCO-Rosen. Adam Hazeman said, Frazier said, quote, Ponder followed the game plan and did exactly what we needed him to do. We need him to do more than that. I mean, again, this is the type of thing we hear the coach after the game. And he says everything but we just didn't want Christian Ponder to lose the game for us today. It's not exactly a ringing endorsement of your guy saying, you know, we want to put the ball in his hands and let him win it for us.
You know, I agree with you on that, but I think a lot of that has to do with kind of how the game started. When you get that big lead and it was all Adrian Peterson, you're up 14-0. The only way you can lose a game or should lose a game like that is by turning the ball over, letting the other team score on defense, and fortunately for the Vikings, they scored on defense. We've won a couple games now on defensive scores. We won a game against Detroit on special teams. It's just that's what the frustrating part is, I think, of all this is as fans we look at this and go, all right, we got this figured out, draft pick there, this guy here, offensive line here. God, we got one more key position. Well, it's the most important one on the field.
Yeah, and free agents have been a mess. The draft picks have gone real well, but the free agents acquisitions, for the most part, have been a disaster. We go to the next question. Heather Anderson wants to know, was Percy Harvin on the sidelines today? I don't think he was. I don't think he was on the field at all. I don't think he's there anymore. But the bigger question, Pete Burstich, is what's his future going to be? Will they extend his contract? Do you trade him? He's a dynamic player. They don't have playmakers. We see that other than Adrian Peterson right now.
You're absolutely right. And going into the season, we knew that he was one of two guys on the offense that could make somebody miss in space. You know, personally, my opinion is that we've seen the last of Percy Harvin in purple. I don't think that he'll do this again next year.
What based that you think? So what are they going to do? They're going to trade him. That's the only.
Well, yeah. I mean, just they have one more. He has one more year left.
Why do you feel that way?
If everything was, just think about it, if everything looked good, if everything was settled and Harvin was happy and the Vikings were happy, he would have been there on the sidelines, I think, today. He would have been somewhere in the building. It's just it just seems to me that there's something amiss and that it's not a happy separation. Either he's upset about being put on injured reserve. I don't really know. You would think that, as we hear from Leslie now, we're still in the playoff race.
Right.
Why would you not have Harvin somewhere in the building and maybe
he wasn't available. He wasn't available to the media either. They just issued a statement earlier in the week as well.
I mean, you know, you just kind of add all that together.
Hate to see that happen, but that's part of what part you get with Percy Harvin.
Yeah.
Our last question, Josh Van Klomenberg, I believe his name is. What's the best approach to take in the offseason? Upgrade a quarterback or upgrade the talent around him? You just can't hope, in my opinion, that your quarterback's going to get better. Right. You have to know if your quarterback's going to get better.
I totally agree. I think that you can put some more talent around him, a wide receiver. I think the other thing you have to do is if he's still our #1 guy going in the season, you're going to have to put someone behind him who can seriously contend, or someone that could get you out of a game or at least compete with him for a starting spot. I mean, they've given him enough time now, I think, that it's his team, it's his offense. He has no competition really behind him. Joe Webb has not been a factor. They haven't put him in at all.
No.
So I think this offseason, unless things change around in the next 3 weeks, which, you know, could happen.
So right now in their last 30 seconds, you think more likely that Ponder would be back next year and bringing in a veteran backup as opposed to going to get a Michael Vick or someone like that, or a Matt Flynn, you know, trading for someone else?
You look at the NFL, first-round picks outlast coordinators and they outlast coaches. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, that's life in the NFL as a head coach. Well, I just think they're going to have to bring somebody in that can contend for that spot, at least push him a little bit, maybe teach him something. Someone's got to light a fire under him.
Yeah, you can't be wrong about this one. Pete?
No, I can't.
Slow driving home tonight. That's what they always tell us.
I'm sleeping here. Right here.
Right here on the couch. Take a nap. The Twins did not leave the winter meetings without making a couple of deals. Ben Revere's heading east to the Phillies. I'll weigh in on his move to Philly coming up next here on Sports Sunday. Slow down, Ben. You're going to hurt yourself. And welcome back. Well, with all the upheaval the Twins organization has gone through, the one seamless position involving #1 draft picks has been their center fielders. From the late Hall of Famer Kirby Puckett from 1984 through 1995, Torrey Hunter taking over for 10 more years, passing the torch to Denard Span, then Ben Revere. Of course, in the past 2 weeks, both Span and Revere have now been traded. Revere was traded to the Philadelphia Phillies, who were in dire need of a starting center fielder. It wasn't an easy move to make, given how the Twins organization has always prided themselves on developing their own. So I just documented having them play here for a long period of time. Revere was one of those guys who always had a smile on his face, who appreciated putting on the big league uniform every day he came to the park here. He's only 23. And one of those players you absolutely wish the best for. But getting quality pitching does come at a price. And GM Terry Ryan had to find a way of getting quality and a number of pitchers to throw into the mix. Which brings us to this guy, the key pitcher they got in this trade, the guy who should move nearer, if not the top of the rotation, right-hander Vance Worley, the Vanimal. He's only 25. He wears a mohawk and glasses. In 2011, he was 11-1 for the Phillies into the month of September, finishing up 11-3, third place in the Rookie of the Year voting. He had some bone chips removed last season, but they say having no problems in his recovery. Trevor May is the other right-hander they acquired. Prior to last season, he was the Phillies' best minor league prospect. Now there's more to be done. The Twins are still in the market for a few other free agent pitchers. Francisco Liriano's name was in the mix, as strange as that sounds. But really everything points to 2014 more than next year, unfortunately, for the Twins to really be competitive again in their division. Stay with us. We'll be right back. So the 7-6 Vikings go to St. Louis next week. Then they go to Houston the following week and finish up here against the Green Bay Packers on December 30th. And if you're hoping for the Vikings to get that wild card berth, you better root for the Packers next week when they play the Chicago Bears in Chicago. That's the way it works out if you're hoping to get a wild card. We want to thank our guest, Pete Bursitz, and thank you for watching Rosen Sports Sunday. Don't hurt your back shoveling. We'll be back next week following the Vikings game in St. Louis. Good night, everyone.